Even the heaviest armor and deadliest orbital strikes aren't enough to complete objectives and get the job done.
That's right, Interloper. Whether it's providing added protection and firepower, speeding up traversal, or allowing us to keep the war effort going, our ground vehicles are a critical part of our arsenal.
Today, we'll take a closer look at these vehicles, discuss their purpose, and help you out with some tips to get the most out of each one.
Alright, let's begin with the most recent ground vehicle that's been added to the roster, the Ground All-Terrain Extraction Rig, or Gator for short.
Now, the Gator is the biggest ground vehicle deployed so far, and only available for a very special kind of mission: conduct E-711 extraction. In essence, this behemoth is a mobile drill equipped with 3 large fuel tanks, each of which needs to be filled at different sites during an extraction mission in order for the quota to be met. The Gator has 5 pairs of wheels, all of which are necessary to support its enormous weight and specialized hardware. For added security and to keep those nasty dragon roaches at bay, the Gator is equipped with an autocannon turret that must be manned by a Helldiver. Take note, though, that the turret can be damaged and even destroyed, so you and your squad mates will need to work together to keep it operational.
High Command has provided the following coded information to help you better operate and handle the Gator. Press C to shift between the driver and gunner seat. This only applies if there is space available, and also only really seems to work when the Gator is stationary. Press space to activate the handbrake, especially helpful if you need to suddenly stop and don't want to roll downhill. Press F to honk the horn. Let your fellow Helldivers know you're there, or just express your hate for tyranny if you feel like it. Press left control to shift down and left shift to shift up. Trust me when I say using the gears on the Gator to get up steep hills or regulate your speed is an absolute must if you want to complete objectives.
The Gator can take a lot of punishment and will protect its occupants from virtually all attacks. However, if the vehicle is flipped by a charger or flung into the air by a Hive Lord, the Gator will be irreparably damaged, and you will fail your mission. Be sure to deal with any threats, or keep them busy as much as possible, to prevent this from happening. As an added bonus, you can run over light and medium enemies with the Gator, and if you crash into bug holes, they'll be destroyed. A very helpful move if you want to conserve ammo and slow enemy reinforcements. Also note that the onboard autocannon comes with 100 rounds and has 5 times more health than the AAC-8 autocannon Sentry. Moreover, it has medium armor, which is a big help when you're being assailed by a swarm of dragon roaches.
The Gator is big and heavy, belches smoke, and handles like a cinder block with wheels. However, if you manage to extract all the required E-711 and the Pelican manages to extract all of its contents, your enemies, and maybe your squad mates, are in for a real surprise. The tanker will violently explode with a force comparable to a hell bomb, atomizing anything within its radius. That includes you, if you don't get far away enough.
The Gator requires skill to operate and is not for the impatient. However, with the right driving skills and strategy, you'll be able to complete your mission and keep the war effort alive. We're counting on you, Helldivers.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the M102 Fast Recon Vehicle, or FRV. This one probably deserves a briefing all on its own, but we'll try to cover as much of the important stuff as we can here.
The FRV is a 4-wheel drive light reconnaissance vehicle that is delivered via Pelican and can seat up to 5 Helldivers, a driver, 3 passengers, and a gunner. It's way faster than the Gator, but happens to have the same number of gears. You can definitely drive it in auto, but considering the terrain you'll have to traverse, we do recommend shifting manually. The FRV's 4 wheels are large and wide, allowing for a fair amount of clearance above the ground. The shocks and suspension are also military grade to ensure the vehicle can withstand significant impacts and remain relatively stable even in the most punishing terrain.
Although not an assault vehicle, the FRV is equipped with a mounted MG206 heavy machine gun to keep enemies at bay. It comes with 4 spare mags and, like its standalone version, can be set to fire at either 450, 650, or 750 RPM by holding the reload button. In principle, the FRV operates precisely the same way as the Gator, albeit with different parameters. However, unlike the Gator, which has its headlights permanently on, you can press X to toggle between the FRV's headlights being off low, or on full.
The FRV is fast and makes short work of inclines. But be warned, crashing into a heavy enemy, or a rock, can send your gunner flying, or worse, cause the FRV to explode and kill your entire squad. And if you think you can use it to close bug holes like the Gator, think again. It'll slam into them, and in a best case scenario, you'll be able to reverse out without taking any damage. Also, the FRV is extremely easy to flip. However, a well-placed explosive, such as an impact grenade, near the overturned vehicle should be enough to right it without it taking any real damage.
We recommend only using the FRV on planets where there's plenty of room to maneuver. On worlds with an abundance of trees, or frozen wastelands where lakes of ice abound, you'll find it much, much harder to use the FRV to any real effect. Still, with the right training and approach, you should be able to traverse even the most unforgiving landscapes with relative ease. Do you want us to cover advanced driving techniques using the FRV in a future video? Let us know in the comments.
Truth be told, covering all the ins and outs of the FRV is a pretty demanding task. Used correctly, it makes traversal much faster and allows you to take out targets with lightning speed. But if your driving skills are questionable and you find cornering and braking tough, you may want to opt for another stratagem that requires less active management.
Shifting now to heavier vehicles that don't have wheels, we zoom in on our formidable exosuits, namely the Exo-45 Patriot and Exo-49 Emancipator.
The Patriot exosuit is actually produced by the Morganson Corporation on Tien Quan, which is located in the Theseus sector. It comes equipped with 14 rockets and a minigun that contains 1,000 rounds of ammo. The minigun is excellent for mopping up chaff and clearing crowds of lighter enemies, while the rockets are best suited for taking out heavier enemies such as Bile Titans and Factory Striders. Then the Emancipator exosuit was initially produced in the repurposed Petafactory on Virilia 5. But seeing as the bots retook the planet, they are now produced on
Redacted
in the
Redacted
sector. The Emancipator features dual autocannons, each of which hold 100 rounds of ammunition. It's an excellent all-purpose exosuit. But while the Patriot's rockets have an armor penetration rating of 6, the Emancipator's shells only have a rating of 5, though this difference also depends on the angle at which the projectile is fired.
Like the FRV, our exosuits have to be called in via Pelican, and owing to their specialized nature, a maximum of 3 can be called in per Helldiver per mission. Sorry all, we do have a budget to keep in mind. In short, you'll need to be very tactical when calling in an exosuit. If you're taking heavy fire or surrounded by enemies, it's likely your mech will be torn to shreds moments after touching down or you entering it. Use your discretion and be selective, and you should have a much easier time.
Exosuits move faster than the Gator, but slower than the FRV. They're surprisingly maneuverable and provide a decent amount of protection against most attacks. But heavy rocket fire from bots or a spewing Bile Titan will almost certainly render your suit useless in seconds. Even if you do survive such attacks, it's very easy to have your weapon systems disabled, making your exosuit little more than a fairly flimsy suit of armor at that point.
Generally speaking, exosuits are excellent for defending an objective or providing cover during an extraction. They have also proven surprisingly effective for entering bug meganests on Osho Une and have been used by countless Helldivers to hunt hive lords and dragon roaches. With this in mind, we highly recommend staying as mobile as possible when using exosuits. While it may be easier to line up shots and take out targets while standing still, this makes you a sitting duck for enemies. And when in doubt, you can stomp on light enemies, crushing them in an instant. This should help you conserve ammo and stay in the fight for longer.
And watch your step. It's easy to trample a nearby Helldiver with an exosuit if you aren't careful, so be mindful of your surroundings at all times. We generally recommend the Patriot for bugs and squids and the Emancipator for bots and bugs, depending on your needs and preferences, of course. The Emancipator is great for destroying bug holes and bot fabricators, but the Patriot is great for taking out heavy enemies with ease. So choose wisely, Helldivers. What you decide here will spell the difference between life and death.
That concludes this crash course, troops. That should be more than enough to adequately equip you for the battlefield. Surely.
Is there any ground vehicle you want us to take a really in-depth look at? Or maybe we put together a crash course on air units? Let us know in the comments.
And if you want to go beyond liking and subscribing, please become a member today. Every membership helps the channel and allows us to give back to you. So please sign up today.
Well, Helldivers, that's it from us here at the SES. Until next time, stay liberated and never ever surrender. For Super Earth and democracy.